In this tutorial we're going to talk about temperature, and temperature is a reference to thermal energy contained in a body. It is defined by the zeroth law of thermodynamics, which states if two bodies are in thermal equilibrium, they have the same temperature. We're going to discuss now about the temperature scales. The first ones are relative, and the first one is the Celsius, which is, for instance, relative to water, in the sense that 0 degrees Celsius is the freezing point, while 100 degrees Celsius is the boiling point. Then each degree or each step is going to be between 0 and 100. Then the Fahrenheit is going to be relative to water in salt. Both of them are different because they have different slopes. This means that a step in Celsius is not going to be the same as a step in Fahrenheit. For instance, a change of temperature in Fahrenheit is going to be equal to 1.8 steps or change in temperature in Celsius. So we can relate them as the temperature in Fahrenheit is going to be equal to 1.8 temperature in Celsius plus 32. This will state that they have different slopes and different origin. For instance, if the temperature in Celsius is 30 degrees Celsius, then the temperature in Fahrenheit is going to be 1.8 times 30 plus 32, which is 86 degrees Fahrenheit. But if instead of having a punctual temperature, we have a change in temperature, then we will only state that the change in temperature in Fahrenheit, if the change in temperature in Celsius is 30, is for instance 54 degrees Fahrenheit, is a change in temperature. Lord Kelvin started to state or to look at the behavior of how pressure and temperature were changing in certain states. So for instance, if he was looking for this information, he stated that, for instance, the relationship between pressure and temperature could behave like this in certain material, but in other materials it behaved in another way. For instance, it could be something like this and something like this. At the very end, he started to extrapolate this information until he realized that there was a certain point of pressure and temperature where everything was, where if the pressure is 0, then which temperature was, for instance, reached, and the temperature was minus 273.15 Celsius. He defined this point as an absolute 0. With this information, the absolute scale, which is called Kelvin, states that the temperature in Kelvin is going to be equal to the temperature which you have in Celsius plus 273.15 degrees, right? And a step in Kelvin is going to be exactly the same step as Celsius, because we have, for instance, the same slope. This is an absolute scale because it starts from the absolute 0, which is minus 273.15 Celsius, corresponding to 459.67 Fahrenheit. We measure the temperature with a thermometer. So we discussed the temperature, which is defined by the zeroth law, the temperature scale, the relative one, and the absolute one, and how to transform between them. and that this is measured with a thermometer.